If you're not getting as many referrals in your business as you think you should and growing your business as fast as you'd like, then you might actually have a workout problem. In this podcast, we're going to discuss how to solve that and how you can deliver workouts in your business that will generate more referrals. Lauren's still here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for growing your hit business and fueling your passion for high intensity training. This is episode 498. And today we are welcoming back Discover Strength CEO and founder Luke Carlson. Luke, welcome back to the podcast. Great to see you as always.
Lawrence, thanks for having me.
So look, you know, I think the theme of today's podcast, Luke, is really going to be something that you shared in a recent Friday Fit tip, which is you mentioned the quote, "We need to be reminded more than we need to be taught." And I think that today's theme is very much one of those. So, a long time ago, you taught me that the workout is the marketing, and it's like the biggest misconception probably in our space, maybe. Can you just tell me how you think about that today and what that means?
Yeah, so I was inspired by Jay Baer, an author. His quote, he says, "Advertising is the tax paid by businesses with unremarkable products or services." And so, of course, what he's getting at there is you got to spend money on marketing and advertising because your product or service is just okay. And because it's okay, people will not come back on their own and they won't bring their friends on their own. So I think the goal is to build a product or service where people come back. Okay, that's retention in any industry, and then they tell their friends. And this is how we create what's been called earned growth. We're not purchasing the growth via acquisition, depending on the company, and we're not purchasing the growth via just marketing and advertising channels. It's an earned growth approach. So that's kind of Jay Baer's quote that I think sets the stage for our conversation. Now, you've had many guests on your podcast that speak to this. I think about Doug Holland on your podcast saying years ago that when the workout's done, if the client walks out the door and they're not telling three other people about their workout over the next 24 hours, you didn't do your job. Okay. So now I'm going to rewind to me first working with clients. So I was a strength and conditioning coach at a large high school, and I knew I was going to eventually leave that role and I was going to start Discover Strength. And so, but I was years away from that. And I had one guy that had heard about my workouts and he said, "Can I please come in and train with you, at the high school weight room?" And I said, "Yes, we can." And then there was an article written about strength training for distance runners that I was featured in. And a distance runner said, "I want to come in and strength train with you." And I said, "Okay, you can." And then they both told, someone, and that someone told someone. And suddenly I had like a full-time personal training gig outside of my strength coaching position. And of course, I didn't advertise, I didn't market. I already had a job. I wasn't looking for a job. But of course, the workout spoke for itself. You couldn't get on the Medex machines and the Nautilus machines and the hammer strength machines we were using, and you couldn't train with the level of intensity and the focus and the attention to form and not walk out the door after 31 minutes and want to go tell somebody. So I knew very early on in my career that if you just took care of the workout, people were going to tell everybody. And Lawrence, this was before I was trying to grow a business. I would say the biggest stress in my life is that people were calling me and texting me and emailing me every day wanting to work out with me. And I was like, I can't work with any more people. I mean, I was working with people 7 days a week. I was working with people, Monday at 5:30 a.m. and I would work with people Sunday night until 8 p.m. And it was just too many people. Hey, by the way, that's a really good problem to have. At the time, I was annoyed by it, but like, this is the dream, right? This is really what we want when we're growing
Sorry,
our
Luke,
business.
just to clarify, maybe I misheard. Was this when you were also working as a strength coach and or is this when you actually transitioned to personal training? Sorry, just to clarify that.
So I was a strength coach at this high school, and then I
Mhm.
would I would fit in these personal training
Got it.
clients like all day long, nights, weekends, just whenever I could.
When you
Yeah.
when you were like topped out, sorry to break your chip pattern, when you were topped out in terms of doing these personal training sessions on the side during that full-time job, what was the maximum number you were doing per week, if you recall?
I don't know in a week, but I would have, for me, it was a lot. Now, it's not a lot to Doug Holland, but 20 sessions a day was a lot for me. That's 10 hours of one-on-one workouts outside of my job. That
Oh,
felt
wow.
like a
Okay.
lot. And I mean, I think 12 in a day is a lot. So 20, 10 hours of client-facing time was definitely a lot.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So,
So
so that
if you,
that
yeah.
was like this is like 2002, 2003, 2004. This is early on. This is well before I read Jay Baer's quote. And Discover Strength opens in 2006, and we spent very little money on marketing. And I told all of our staff that we hired, I said, we're just going to really focus on the nuances of the workout. If we deliver the workout the right way, people are going to tell others about the workouts. And I think this is true in any product or service. So let's jump forward to like 2024. I started hearing Alex Hormozy say things like, you all think that you have marketing problems. You don't. He's like, you need to work on your product or service. Your obsession isn't marketing it. Your obsession needs to be build a better product or service. And then he'll word it, he'll say things like, I know this is going to be tough on your ego, but you haven't built a significant enough, a cool enough product or service. Because if you had, everybody would just be telling other people about it. And I think this is the time I first heard him say this when like ChatGPT came out and he's like, you didn't learn about that via a marketing message, right? Someone else used it and they told somebody else. And the coolest products and services that we utilize, we don't need to consume a tremendous amount of marketing to get excited about them. Other people are singing their praises. And so Alex Hormozy started articulating this, I think, wonderfully, maybe a year or 2 years ago. And he's, of course, talking about all different businesses. The reason it's germane to us is I think the high intensity training practitioner just has an incredible advantage because there's some core elements of our workout experience that are just so differentiated, that are so create so much powerful word of mouth that other products and services just don't have these advantages. And there are even products and services that you or I may enjoy, your listener may be a consumer of, but they're not special enough for us to talk about like a high intensity training workout. And so Hormozy's trying to say work on your product or service. In so many instances, I don't even know how to improve the product or service. In high intensity training, we have this unfair advantage where the product or service, first of all, is perfectly positioned to be differentiated. And then there's levers that we can pull that actually generate more referrals from it. But I think it all starts with the mindset. If your mindset is, no, 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 the product and service, it's done. It is fully baked. Now let me focus on marketing. I don't think that's the right mindset. I just don't know how you can be successful if that's what your mindset is. And this is the only controversial thing I'll say in the podcast. I think that's the mindset of most high intensity training practitioners. And I think that's wrong in high intensity training, and I think it's wrong in any business. And the great entrepreneurs and the great business owners that I'm around, they're obsessive around trying to improve the product or service. For some reason, in high intensity training, we all say it's fully baked. It is ready to go. Now I just need to market. And I'd noticed that for years. It probably validated me when Alex Hormozy said entrepreneurs are doing this, at scale right now, and that it's a concern. So I felt validated by him noticing it, but I've noticed it for years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember you saying to me, people would come to you and say, Luke, like, what are you guys doing for marketing? Like, we've got the workout down. This is your words. We need help with the marketing. And he was like, no, you haven't got the workout down because the workout is the marketing. You
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah, and
something.
Lawrence, and,
Go
and
ahead.
Lawrence, one step beyond that, no one would ever ask me, can I do a workout with you? Will you take me through a workout, or can I watch a workout? They would always ask, what are you doing in terms of marketing? And then, if I said, well, we're really not doing much marketing, like I think we have some general like brand expectations that we don't want to violate. So like marketing is just broader than most people think. It's not, of course, just advertising. So like marketing principle or tenet of ours is we don't like to discount. So that truly is marketing. We're not going to discount. How we choose our price, right? Price is very much a proxy for quality, right? So that's a marketing decision. By choosing the right price or whatever the price is, I'm going to say a more expensive price, you're indicating that there's more quality here. But price is a proxy for quality. So those are marketing decisions. But we weren't doing like significant advertising for most of Discover Strength's history. We just focused on the workout, but nobody ever asked us about the workout. And I know why they didn't, because they were high intensity training people. They were into the workout. And you would have to sacrifice ego to ask questions about the
Mm.
thing
It's like
that
kill
you're
your darlings. Yeah, yeah,
allegedly the best at. Yeah. And so nobody
yeah.
wants to do that. And of course, if we want to be, if we want to grow as an entrepreneur, if we want to grow as a hit business leader, then we have to do that. And that it takes some sacrificing of ego.
And that's the problem. Yeah, it's like a great scientist who is prepared to throw away so much work because they've been proved wrong, um, which is a wonderful thing, but again, quite rare to see sometimes. So, okay, so there are still a lot of our colleagues who, you and I probably speak to all the time, who believe they are great at the workout and they have the workout down, and they are really struggling, like really struggling still. What do you think is going on there? I mean, I know you've kind of answered it. They assume that their workout is baked, it's done. That's the mindset. But what else is going on there? You know, is there well, what's is it because my immediate kind of thinking is, oh, they've probably lost some enthusiasm for the workout. It doesn't come across. I remember you saying to me, obviously, you said to me many times on the podcast that the person has to feel like you care about the workout more than they do. You care about them getting a result more than they do. Like that's the crux of it. And I also remember you telling a story about, I think it was a client of yours who was working out with this guy who was like really like high profile, like well liked or whatever. And you said, why did you stop working out with that guy? He said, he just didn't care about the workout anymore. And I wonder if that is, I'm not saying that's like one thing, but I wonder if that's a big one. I couldn't say for certain because I've not been trained by these people regularly to really have much of an opinion. You have, or maybe, I don't know, you've had enough workouts, I'm not sure. But yeah, can you just speak on that more and elaborate on what's going on there? Why do they think they have a great workout, but they're still struggling? Even though you're all right, they probably heard you say multiple times that the workout is the marketing.
Yeah, interesting that particular client that you're referring to said, I work with this trainer. The trainer is a, high level bodybuilder,
Yeah.
former Division I college football player, well-known guy. And he said he just kind of stopped caring about my workouts and paying attention. And I thought, oh, we're going to win this guy over in a heartbeat because we can definitely pay attention and care, right? It's easy for us to do. And just out of sheer coincidence, I got an email from that guy on Sunday saying, I just did my 1,502nd workout at Discover Strength. And he's like, I lost count. I really wanted to do my 1,500th workout with you. And I just, emailed him back right away and said, hey, the location that he trains at, we've had that location for 19 years. We're moving that location like 3 miles down the road and we're building a new one right now. And I said, I'll do the first workout with you when that location's built. It'll be you and I together. So you can retain somebody for the long haul if you stay interested. And speaking of needing to be reminded more than we need to be instructed, which is how you started the podcast. And I totally believe that. Um, I'm often reminded by some of your different guests, and one of them is Pete Serqua, and he tells so many stories about, the trainer that has more passion for the workout that you're about to do with the client, they're going to win. It's the excitement that they convey for the workout. And he always tells the story of the personal trainer who's basically doing workouts of the latest muscle mag, and he's able to tell the client, this is what we're doing, this is why it's exciting, this is why you should be excited. And that enthusiasm is contagious. Like we want to work with someone who's excited about what we're doing. Those reminders are meaningful to me. Like I can't tell you how many of your podcasts I've listened to and thought, are we really showing that type of excitement? Now, let me just take a step back from the excitement conversation and get into how do we actually improve the workout.
Sure.
Related to excitement, it's more than just speaking with um, a loud voice and having vocal energy or intonations in our tone. It's things like posture and body language. And David, our VP of operations, visits studios on Tuesdays, and he was going through his visit of a studio today. And of course, he's sharing with me all of the things that we would look at as red, meaning they're just not good. And he talked about how many sessions started 1 minute late. And let me tell you, let me give you the example. This is not where you have back-to-back sessions. This is where one of our trainers, an exercise physiologist, is in the back office. And so that means they have nothing before this client. And they come out and they start the client. at 31 after instead of 30 after or 29 after. There's nothing that shows I'm not excited to serve you than starting the session 30 seconds late or a minute late when you came out of an office. So that's a micro message that I'm not excited to serve. Excited to serve is, Monday morning, my 5:30 client that I had downtown Minneapolis. I'm like pacing at 5:25, waiting to start this session, right? It was Casey Fox, 5:30 a.m. I knew she was going to be early. I had not worked with her in forever. It's 5:25, and I'm like ready to go and excited. Now it's a little bit different. We've all been in back-to-back-to-back sessions, and a session might go 30 seconds over or a minute over. That's not good, but that's more acceptable. And then when that session's done, you greet your next client with incredible excitement, enthusiasm, and you're excited to work with them. But man, if you're in the back office just waiting until a minute after the appointment starts, that's a pretty powerful micro message. And where am I going with all that? It's not just excited to serve, meaning did you do a cartwheel? Are you acting like a cheerleader? It's no, are you on time? Are you early? There's other micro messages. So that's the excited to serve. That reminder to me comes from Pete Surqua. Now, to me, there's a few variables that I think just need to be nailed down in the experience. If it's okay, Lawrence, can I share a few of
Please
them?
do.
And I don't
Yeah,
think
this
these
is
are
the time to do that.
controversial. Yeah, I don't think these are controversial. I think that most people would agree with these. I just think we got to spend time daydreaming. How would I improve that variable? So I'll share a few of the variables for us. So one is form. So what we've noticed is the tougher we are on form, the more likely we are to retain that client, and the more apt or more likely the client is to refer another client. And so the mistake that I think an experienced trainer makes is we get a little bit lax on form because we're having just kind of casual conversation with the client during the workout. And in many cases, the client almost becomes a friend, and we're less likely to just absolutely hammer on our friend around their form, where we kind of forget what the relationship is really supposed to be. We're there first and foremost to be a trainer and facilitate the workout, which means we got to come down hard on the form. So that's number one is the more intentional we can be, the more focused we can be on form, the better. Now, this still allows tremendous variability in how you want to do it. It's like when I say form, that probably means something different than Bill DeSimone or Tim Ryan or Mike Wolf or all these high intensity training practitioners that I respect. So it doesn't mean there's only one way to do the form, but whatever you think the form is, you have to be obsessive about it. So let's give an extreme example. If you're coaching a power clean, there is so many elements of form to a power clean, which sounds weird because form to a high intensity training practitioner is eliminate momentum, but there's so many form and technique elements. If you're running a strength training business and power clean is one of your exercises, the more nuanced you can be in expecting unbelievable form from your power cleans, I mean, the better client retention you're going to have. Now, that's not form that any of us would want, but form applies to whatever you think the form is supposed to be, whatever you think is truly important. And so be obsessive about what you think the tenets of good form are. So that's one of the things that I
Yeah.
think we can go deeper on and we can care more about. So ultimately, the customer wants us to care. They want us to care more than they care. And the second we stop caring as much, I think they can sense it. And so one of the ways to demonstrate that we care is to continue to obsess about form and never have a bad rep occur on our watch that doesn't go coached, like uncoached, right? You have to say something about it. Someone's going to perform a bad rep, but then we have to actually intervene. So one of them is form. Another one to me is safety. And so safety means, well, let's make decisions to make the workout as safe as possible. I think that's a great way to retain customers. If customers are getting injured during the workout or if they have pain during the workout, we're just not going to retain them. So the whole design of the workout has to be safe. That, the rest of your audience is going to agree with that. But we actually have to be able to communicate that we know how to make the workout safer when someone is injured. So we always say it's not just can we make the workout safe? It's do we know how to work around an injury, work with an injury, and communicate to the client why we're doing what we're doing, right?
Today's episode is sponsored by Imagine Strength, the game changer in safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training machines. When it comes to HIIT, Imagine Strength is your go-to for intelligently designed, efficient, and affordable equipment. Their team is passionate about HIIT, and it shows in every piece they craft. So why are Imagine Strength the right choice? Number one, they tailor make their equipment for hit studios. Number two, they provide cost effective solutions for your business. And number three, they are committed to ongoing innovation and refinement. Ready to take your hit business to the next level? Visit imaginestrength.com to discuss your needs and find the perfect gear for your studio. Join the hit revolution of Imagine Strength and transform your workout experience today.
If our client ever tells us, and this happens every week at Discover Strength, I'm going to pause my workout to Discover Strength until I'm done with my current physical therapy, then we've like lost. We have not done it well. If we've done it well, the client would come to us and say, "I'm currently undergoing physical therapy for this. How would I combine that with my current workouts?" That's what they should be saying to us. If they're not saying that, we have not built the rapport, the trust. We have not continually educated about why we're doing the different things we're doing. So it's a matter of not just that we're going to skip this exercise, but hey, here's what I want to do on leg extension for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, whatever the case is, and I overheard this recently at our Chicago location last week. Client came in and said, yeah, my physical therapist said I can do leg extensions. I should just use a light weight. So that one leg doesn't compensate and do most of it. They want a real light weight, so kind of my injured leg can do some of the work. And I was not working with this client. I overheard this. And what should we have said at that point? We should have said, wow, your physical therapist actually had that probably backwards. We probably should use a heavier weight on leg extension, and we should have one leg compensate more because there's something called bilateral transfer or cross education that the injured leg who's not doing much of the work is going to get more of the benefit because the other leg, the uninjured leg, is actually experiencing more tension. So we should tell that whole story. And then the client says, oh, I didn't realize any of this. And pretty soon, I mean, in a matter of 30 seconds, the client understands you as the exercise professional knows way more about this than the physical therapist did. That physical therapist made that up. Use a light weight and make sure it's balanced in between. So we have to be able to explain why are we doing the different things that we're doing. And in that case, it could be, hey, we're going to go a heavy load and we're going to have one leg do more of the work and that's okay. Or, hey, we'll do a light weight, but let's do a light weight only for that leg and let's train the legs separately. So we'll do a set with the left, a set with the right, and the set with the uninjured leg. Let's make sure it's really heavy and focus on eccentric work because there's all this research that says if you do even more eccentric work, your bilateral transfer is even more pronounced. Or, hey, let's use a static hold approach. Why don't you tell me where in the range of motion where there's no discomfort, and let's do a long static hold in that approach. Let's do a long static hold in a range of motion where there's no injury. When the quads are fatigued, then we'll go a real lightweight and go through a full range of motion so we're still moving through. There's just so many different things we can do. We have to tell the client why we're doing what we're doing and what our approach is. And then they're going to feel like they're going to feel like they're going to be put at ease. They're going to understand what we're doing. So I call that category safety, but it's not just choose safe exercises. It's you got to be able to communicate to the client in a way where they feel safe and they want to keep coming back no matter what. And going back to this topic of we need to be reminded, I'm just thinking about Bert on your podcast. How do you say Bert's last name?
Dago Villa?
Okay, I really put you on the
Oh no,
spot
it's
there.
Dagoberto Villa. I think that's his
Okay.
full.
Okay.
Yeah,
So last name
he'll
is
correct me.
yeah. So I'm just gonna say Bert. Bert's like Madonna. He just needs, one name. Okay. So Bert said, if God, if you're alive, I can train you. I think he said,
Yeah.
like that was his approach. Like, and I love that approach, and that's the approach that all of us should be taking. But we have to be able to communicate how we're still going to provide value and make it as safe as possible. So that's one of the pillars I think we need to focus on. One of the pillars that I think is incredibly important is intensity. Um, I think we can push clients harder. I think most people that think they're pushing a client pretty hard, the client can be pushed harder. This is our brand new trainers when they first work with someone, they just don't push them hard enough. And the client says, yeah, that's fine. And you're really sweet and everything, but you didn't push me nearly hard enough. And this is like a young 23-year-old exercise physiologist for us who thinks that they're intense and they know about hard training and they're not pushing the 68-year-old client hard enough. And the few workout videos that I've watched from some of the members of the community, Lawrence, and that you've allowed me to give a little bit of
Thank you so much for that, by the way.
yeah, it's been fun to do to give a little appraisal. I'm just utterly shocked by how low the intensity level is. So those are just a few data points. And then we've sent clients to high intensity training facilities around the country. And we said, you're going to love this place. I'm not going to name any of the names. You're going to love it. And they come back and they say, that was nothing like this. Like I didn't get pushed hard at all. And so here's the business take home message. If you push people harder, in almost all cases, you're going to earn more referrals, right? Like and this is the ultimate talk trigger. Someone needs to walk out of your studio and say, holy shit, that was intense. Now, people are going to say that regardless of or they can say that regardless of their age and their training status. So that should be different for a 25-year-old, muscular kind of bro, and it should be different for a 65-year-old. So never am I saying just blindly push everyone so hard that they, can't walk after the workout. I mean, relative to that person, you got to push them harder than they were accustomed to working and 6% harder than they even wanted to work. And if they really wanted to work hard, you're still going 6% harder. If they didn't want to go that
Yeah.
hard, you're still pushing them harder. So, of course, we call that read and respond. You got to figure out where that client is at and meet them in that moment and push them harder. And let me tell you, I've been through so many high intensity training workouts myself where I walk out of the workout and I thought, oh my goodness, like I literally can go work out 20 minutes from now and go through a full workout because that was not a workout at all. And other times the practitioner just nails it and I'm crawling out of there and I want to go tell, eight of my friends. So dialing on the intensity related to intensity is read and respond. Are we reading and responding to the signal the client's giving us?
Can I challenge you for a moment on this? So I'm just going to say his name because it's easier that way. So Pete Serqual recently in High Intensity Business mentioned that he actually went away from training clients to failure. And he posted a study that came out recently. I don't know if you saw Menno Henselman's posted it as well about, I think you talked about it actually, about how we can have one or two reps in reserve and probably get the same results as going to failure, right? And so Pete was talking about that, and he said that his business, which we know was very successful, and how actually he deliberately did not take clients to failure, so his workouts were probably slightly less intense. Like, how do you reconcile that? Because he built a successful business there, and that's
Well,
interesting.
specifically, that's not what the study said. The study said that if you go to failure, you get statistically significant more hypertrophy than if you go short of failure. What the study said that even going to short to failure, you still produce results. So that
Got it.
study
Yes. Yeah.
supported everything that a kind of pure high intensity training person has ever said, that one set worked better than three sets for advanced trainees, and that being intense in doing one set works really well. That's like two reps shy of failure, but going to failure produced even better results. Now, the reality is, I'm going to throw a number on it. And, I talked to Dr. James Fisher a lot about this too. And he and I are of the same thinking. I don't want to loop him into my exact quote, but I'm going to say that 70% of high intensity training practitioners that think they're training to momentary muscle failure are not training to momentary muscle failure. Everyone assumes that as soon as they learn about HIIT and they're doing HIIT and they buy their first medics machine and they're generally intense, that's failure. And generally, people are not getting near high intensity training practitioners and clients are not getting to failure. I just threw out 70%. I feel very comfortable that it's over 50% of people that think they're getting to failure are not. So that study validates that two reps short of failure still produces results. I think that's what most people are doing. Going to failure produces even better results. So that's physiologically. Let's move beyond that. From a business standpoint, we've just seen that if you don't push people to failure or beyond, they have the sense that they could do it on their own, right? As soon as you realize that you can't do it on your own, then you realize, oh, there's value to this trainer in front of me. And I think that's what we're really trying to demonstrate. And I feel pretty strongly about that. And when we have a client that we don't retain, it's because they just don't feel like they're getting pushed that hard anymore. And they will generally verbalize that. And we even have clients that are clients for like 8 years. And, I was just talking to David about this the other day. The client changed the trainer they were working with because the trainer became so comfortable with them and just started talking about what they saw on Netflix. And they're talking about their weekend and they're talking about the latest episode of Emily in Paris. And it wasn't about absolutely dialing into the intensity of the workout. And the client's like, I feel bad because I love the trainer, but I'm just not getting pushed as hard anymore. So I need to switch to a trainer that will really, really take me there.
Got it. Yeah, I hear you. Do you mind me asking, like, well, what's happening there then? How come, Pete was able to build a, $1.2 million business in New York City, delivering workouts that weren't a failure? I know you're speaking, I understand you have a enormous bank of evidence behind what you're saying, right? Because you're talking about the DS data over 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
So
do you have any further thoughts, or do you just can't
yeah.
comment on that?
Two
Yeah,
simple responses is people still pushing people way harder than the average exerciser. So, like we
sure.
said, two reps is short of failure, physiologically good, also probably good for business, right? And number two, and this is another talk trigger. It's a massive talk trigger. It's major. It's the workout is short. And so he was able to build a business. There's not only one talk trigger. The only talk trigger is not intensity.
Sure.
The duration of the workout's a massive talk trigger. And I'm constantly inspired by Pete when he talks about a 15-minute workout. That's a talk trigger for sure. And I think it's a talk trigger in every market on earth. It's always a talk trigger with our target market. And I assume it's even a bigger talk trigger when you're in New York City and people perceive their time as being even more valuable or potentially scarce. So now here's the follow-up to that is I'm convinced Pete would have a larger business and people would pay more if the intensity level was higher. That's
Thank you.
my
That's
assumption.
very helpful. Yeah, that really helped clarify that. Thank you. Look, I know we're basically at time, but we're going to make this complete, right? Is there any other like key points that you think goes into the workout experience? We've got, form, safety, intensity, caring about the workout more than they care, being on time, right? These things. Is there anything else?
Yeah, so one of them, a big one is feedback. And Taylor Melvin, our longtime exercise physiologist, she said at a rec conference, a million years ago, like 2016, a client is not paying for a workout, they're paying for feedback. And what we find from so many personal trainers, all different types of personal trainers, they're not giving much feedback. They are narrating while you're working out. Okay, so like you're doing a repetition and they're saying, okay, good, coming down slowly, transition without momentum. Okay, good, good, keep pushing. All right, keep driving, 2 more inches. And none of that's meaningful feedback. It's narration of what the client's doing. And we want to narrate less and we want to provide feedback and we want to loop that feedback or group that feedback into two categories. It's either positive specific or constructive specific. And you could call constructive negative, right? And negative feedback is fine. Hey, Lawrence, that was too fast in your transition, right? That's constructive or negative feedback. Positive feedback is, Lawrence, that's a perfect job of killing momentum during your transition. That's positive. Okay, so we want more positive specific feedback and more constructive specific feedback. And you can give feedback around form, you can give feedback on intensity, you can give feedback on improvements in terms of reps, weight, time under tension, etc. There's an infinite number of things that we can give feedback around, but that's what someone's paying for, is they're paying for really nuanced feedback in the workout. And so instead of narration, we should focus on feedback. I think that's another huge one. If you can give nuanced feedback, your client's going to listen to you. What I find from most HIIT practitioners and most personal trainers in general, the client tunes out the practitioner because the practitioner is just narrating and they're daydreaming about something else as they're doing their slow reps, and the trainer is just saying the same things they say over and over rather than providing precise feedback. Again, these are generalities, and what I'm saying, I've been trained by plenty of HIIT practitioners that are nailing really nuanced specific feedback that changes, how the trainee is doing the exercise or how I'm doing the exercise. So that exists, but man, we should focus on that. And then the last thing that I would say, decent sized category is we want to think about the elements of the customer experience. So this would be like cleanliness, for example. We know that cleanliness is the foundation of a wonderful customer experience. This is true in hotels, theme parks, restaurants, and high intensity training businesses. All things being equal, the cleaner studio is going to outperform, right? I mean, we need to have our studios be immaculately clean, but by clean, I don't just mean no dirt, no dust, like it's actually clean. I also mean decluttered. So we don't want clutter at front desks if we have front desks. We don't want visible every conceivable pad, saddle horn weight, all these different things that we would put on a machine, maybe visible and scattered about. We want cleanliness in the facility. That's part of the customer experience. And then the other ones are, like how we actually communicate with the client. So for us, it's using the right lexicon. Which language are we going to use, and what language are we going to avoid? How do we greet someone when they walk in the door, and when they leave? We're into this idea of a warm welcome and a fond farewell, but it's just kind of codifying all those things. And those are the things that people actually talk about and they share with others. And every entrepreneur gets to decide what they want that experience to look like. It looks different with Doug Holland, but it's no less consistent with Doug Holland. It's consistently that experience. And I just pick him because I think he's like on a polar opposite of maybe Discover Strength's experience, but I absolutely love his experience. I love the consistency in which it's delivered. What we want to avoid is this experience roulette, where just, from day to day, the experience is different if you're with a different trainer. And I know a lot of your listeners are the sole trainer, but when they bring on somebody, and many of them have, the experience is just wildly different because, well, I'm not training with Lawrence, and it's only good if I train with Lawrence. And so you just can't scale a business where there's experience roulette, where the experience comes down to, did I have the right person today?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I'll just summarize that very, very quickly. So the first thing you said was a be on time, right? Which is just a simple thing. Be really tough on form, which is going to be a huge driver, as you say, for more referrals and retention. Care more than they care in terms of your enthusiasm for the workout. Focus on safety, being able to modify workouts ahead of time and on the fly, and educating on the why behind the modification. Focus on intensity. We can be pushing people harder most of the time and giving really great feedback, not narrating, instead giving constructive specific feedback and positive specific feedback, and then having a wonderful customer experience that focuses on cleanliness, having a decluttered space, and having great communication, and being able to greet and say goodbye in the right way and use the right words that are kind of congruent with your brand, I guess, and the experience you're trying to deliver. Just very quickly, Luke, what was it you said? Was it a Dan Sullivan thing? The really simple, like, I can't remember who come up with this, but it's like the simple things that keep customers retained or
Yeah.
generating referrals. It's like be on time, say please and thank
Yeah.
you, and then something else.
So
Yeah.
he says your best customers in any business are going to come from referrals. And so this is where referrals actually come from. It's be on time, do what you say you're going to do. I want to come back to that one in a second. Finish what you start. That one's the least applicable to what we all do because I just think it's easy to finish the workout once you've started it. But it's be on time, uh, do what you say you're going to do, finish what you start, and the last one is say please and thank you. And
Mhm.
largely that's almost extinct. And I feel like if you say please and thank you, it's so much more powerful. But do what you say you're going to do is on the micro and the macro. So like micro is if you say, hey, I'll email you that article, or I'll confirm that appointment time later today. I'll send you a text. Then actually do it, right? On the macro, it's if you're telling the consumer that you're an expert educated trainer, then do what you say you're going to do. Read the journal articles, attend the conference, listen to the podcasts, study, get the certifications, like be a master of your craft, right? Do what you say you're going to do. And so do what you say you're going to do is like delivering on brand promises as well as it is, hey, I said I would send you the article, that I actually send you the article. So we want to make sure we're looking at that on the macro level also.
Awesome, Luke. Thank you so much for today. This has been so valuable, and I can't wait to publish it. Best way for people to find out more about you, discoverstrength.com, discoverstrengthfranchise.com. Probably the best place to send people these days, right?
Yes,
Um,
please. Yep, perfect.
and yeah, just again, thank you so much for your time. For everyone listening, this is Lawrence of highintensitybusiness.com. This is episode 498, almost at 500. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. This episode is brought to you by Imagine Strength, your go-to for safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training equipment. Growing a successful high-intensity training business requires workout equipment that's not only high quality, but also intelligently designed to fit the unique needs of your studio. And that's where Imagine Strength comes in. Drawing on the wisdom of the legendary Arthur Jones, Imagine Strength has crafted a groundbreaking line of fitness equipment that's as affordable as it is efficient, giving your studio the upgrade it needs without breaking the bank. The team at Imagine Strength breathes HIT. Their passion for high intensity training shines through in their designs, which they've consistently refined and innovated for optimum effectiveness and user experience. From my personal experience at Rec, I can attest to the careful consideration and craftsmanship that goes into every single piece. My Imagine Strength workout was absolutely brutal, in a good way, of course. Now, what makes Imagine Strength truly stand out? They have innovative equipment tailored for the unique needs of HIIT studios, affordable and efficient designs, lowering the barriers to entry for a HIIT business, continuous innovation and refinement, ensuring your studio stays ahead of the curve. Founder Jeff Turner and his team are dedicated to moving the HIIT industry forward and making strength training accessible to more people than ever before. Here's how you get started. Number 1, visit imaginestrength.com. Number 2, discuss your specific needs with the team. And number 3, select the equipment that will propel your business to the next level. Head to imaginestrength.com today and give your HIIT business the Imagine Strength edge. Be part of the HIIT revolution and see firsthand how their unique equipment can transform your studio's workout experience. Elevate your HIIT business with Imagine Strength.
Let's go.